So now we've gotten off Interstate 93 and we're now on Interstate 89, again heading towards that Rivian Adventure Network charger. And it's a 2-lane highway, 65 mile per hour speed zone. This one is also mapped, so you can see even there are some roads that are 2 lanes that are also in the mapped data. From what I could tell, most of the car companies that use mapped data for their autonomous driving rather than relying on their cameras and sensors only, they're all getting their data from the same source. So I believe it all works very similar as far as what is and what isn't mapped. Tesla obviously doesn't use the map data, they use their cameras and sensors, which gives them the ability to have kind of this feature on any road. And it's not just Tesla, there are others that do that. So just driving along here, beautiful New Hampshire, got the mountains, but we're about 17 miles away from the exit. Then the Rivian Adventure Network charger is not too far from that exit, so we're about 15 to 20 minutes away from getting to the station. It did just pop up on the screen here that the battery was preparing to charge, so it knows that we're going to a charger, obviously, and it is starting to apply whatever it needs to do to the battery, warm it up, cool it down, whatever it needs, in order to make sure that we get there in a way that once we plug in, we'll get optimal performance out of that charger. So in theory, that all sounds great. We'll see what happens once we actually get there and plug in. According to the charging score on the map, this one's only rated a B. So hopefully we have a good experience, and that it's an A experience for us. But as I have on the screen here, you can see we reset the trip data on trip A as we were leaving the house this morning, and since then we've gone a little over 84 miles. We've been averaging about 67 miles per hour. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes. Our efficiency is 1.62. This is a big vehicle. That's not very efficient. It is what it is. This is essentially an electric version of a gas guzzler. If I were in something smaller, like my Mustang that I used to have, I would expect that number to be somewhere in the low 2s, high 1s. Maybe it'd be like a 1.8 to a 2.4, somewhere in that range, based on this drive. Again, much bigger car, but that's the efficiency that we're getting on the highway, driving in all-purpose mode. So for information purposes here, you can see it's right there on the screen. So preparing battery for fast charging. Just good that they put that information up there, just so you understand what the vehicle's doing.
In a half mile, take exit 20.
Alright, here we go. Exit 20. 0.8 miles to our destination. 0.2 miles to the exit. Coming up on that right now.
Take exit Whitty onto New Hampshire 12-8 or West Lebanon, Claremont.
You can see the station on
In a quarter
the map
mile,
there
keep
as
right
well.
to take South Main Street.
So we're going to be pulling up here in about a minute. So there they are. It's in like a shopping plaza. Pretty good location. Really
Turn left.
directly
Then,
off the
in 100 feet, turn right.
the highway.
Turn right. Then your destination will be on the right.
So you see this says charging for Rivian vehicles only. Get in nice and close to that sign there. Alright, so we're here. You can see that one's lit up. Let's see how well this works. Drop that into park. We're at 52% with an estimated range of 153 miles remaining. Again, this is much earlier than I would ever charge on a real road trip. I just want to get to where we're going with a high state of charge. So we're going to plug in. Typical New England, I'm going to hit Dunks, grab me a coffee, and we'll see what we get. Alright, so we're here at the station. It says plug in to charge. Got my thing open there. I definitely could have gotten closer. CCS, you can never do this with one hand. Alright, so I got my flap down, plugged in, station authorizing. I do have my credit card information on file with Rivian. I just heard something click. It does say that the max power is 300 kilowatts starting. That's good. These handshakes could take a moment. I wish they were a little bit quicker. So 36 cents a kilowatt, 50 cents for every minute you hang out after it's full. So let's just see what we get to before I run over and get some breakfast. So we're at 52%, starting to ramp up. 93, 126, 35, 44, 152, 160. Come on, push a little higher. Alright, looks like it's holding right about here at the 177. Oh, yeah, 176, 177 range. We'll see if that gets any higher. So let's just take a quick look at this station while we're here. So there are 5 of the Rivian chargers here. Very interesting that this one, which is intended to be for handicap accessible, as well as this one, which says van accessible there, are front facing with the display facing forward, and all the other ones that are for general charging are turned to the side. I don't know why you wouldn't just make them uniform regardless of handicap or not, but you've got 5 here. Again, there's a pharmacy, a restaurant, a UPS store, and a supermarket. There's a Dunkin' Donuts, and then the 6th location is actually in the parking lot. So chargers are over here. Spin 180. It's behind you over here. This one's actually rather smart in the way it's set up. Still turned, this way, but you can see it's positioned so that if you were coming off the highway with a trailer, you could come right in and be able to park there with your trailer still attached without blocking anything. So that's a smart design. The other thing that is interesting when you're using the Rivian charging network, on the display, obviously it's telling me we're charging at almost 200 miles per hour here. Doesn't give you any of the speed as far as kilowatts, but that is displayed on the display of the dispenser itself. But because it communicates with the Rivian network directly, it's also showing you what this charging session currently costs. So we're at $13.23. So not cheap. We started at 52%. We've been going for I don't know, 15 minutes maybe. We'll see that on the dispenser as we go to detach. But for $14, that's a little expensive. But again, this isn't how you should live your life. You should be charging at home. This is just for these rare occasions when you do need charging. But just pointing out that it's not cheap to fill your gas guzzling EV or electric proton guzzling EV. So at about 70%, the speed started slowing down. It peaked out at about 187 kilowatts for a brief moment, but then was really hanging in that 170 range. Started to be on the downward side of that curve. Again, we were at a relatively high state of charge. Once it got to about 70, it started getting down to about 100. But you can see here we just passed 80%, and it's a slower, close to full charge. So let's see what it's doing. We've dropped down to 180, 196. So it's still pulling at a pretty good clip, but it's jumping around. You can see it's at 114, 116 now. Let's see what it shows on the display. So we're showing 55, it was in the 80s when I first got out of the car, 60, 72. So we're down in this lower range. We've been here for 18 minutes. Gonna disconnect here in a minute. But that was good. I was able to get some coffee, get a bagel, hang out for a minute, and then we'll continue our adventure. So that station worked out really well. I'm very happy with how that went. It's kind of exactly how you would expect a charging session to go. You stop somewhere for 15 minutes or so, grab yourself a snack if you need it, use the restroom, come out, and your car is charged. I was able to hang out there for a couple extra minutes, got myself well above where I would ever charge to on a typical road trip. So it got up to 86%, and now we're just going to navigate in the opposite direction to get to the actual location that we're going to. So that's a little bit of a pain with the chargers are spaced out. I'm paying essentially a 40-mile penalty for driving an electric car. The location that we're going has some level 2 chargers on site, but I suspect that they're going to be pretty busy. And again, I wanted to get there with a high state of charge, so it's a 40-mile penalty that I put on myself. But you do also get that when you're doing a road trip, just based on how chargers are positioned. It is getting a lot better, so that is good. There's some in rest stations, and as we get access to the Tesla network, that gives us even more options. So I would never let that deter anyone from getting an EV. Alright, so we're at the
Mass Tuning Track Fest, their electric day. Got an electric Fiat over there. Bunch of Model 3s hanging out at the charger. Got my Rivian. Relatively small turnout. This is an event they're still trying to get off the ground. I've been here once before. If you check out my homepage for this channel, you'll see some drone footage of me on this track in my Mustang Mach-E. So this will be the first time in the Rivian. Got a Model 3 coming around the bend here. Coming up behind that, we got a little Fiat. It's a spicy meet the ball. Here comes that Audi again. I'm sorry, that's the Porsche. There goes the Porsche. The Audi's behind it. Coming up around the bend over here. There's about 4 or 5 cars out there. Definitely the quietest day at the track